Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's video and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another episode of my makeup therapy series. And I really wanted to dedicate a whole episode just to how much I love my kids and how much I love being a mom. Because I really wanted to reiterate it on, YouTube that I love being a mom. I think being a mom is a gift. And I don't know, I always went back and forth with, did I want to be a mom? Did I want to be a mom? When I was younger, of course. And I'm not going to lie, the thing that scared me the most was the labor and delivery because, it's painful. At least, people will tell you it's painful. And I mean, it wasn't a pleasant experience for me. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, though. But I also I had a very unique experience. So I want you guys to know that take my experience with a grain of salt because everybody's pregnancy, everybody's labor and delivery story is going to be absolutely different. I was able to do it without an epidural and naturally. And that's not really super common nowadays, according to my doctor, at least in our area. She doesn't really see that very often. They called me Super Mom, which made me feel pretty good because at the time it was my first. It was Kai. It was my first. And I was super nervous. And my mom literally told me, don't be nervous. The second he comes out, the pain will go away. And the only thing I can explain is she was just right. You hear that and you don't think it. You're like, oh yeah, right. That's not true. But for me, it totally was. As soon as he came out, it was oh, a sigh of relief and a breath of fresh air. Everything was gone. The pressure was gone. The pain was gone. But like I said, I was able to do it without an epidural. Kai had some problems he got stuck in the birth canal. But we made it through. And he is here, and he's a happy, beautiful, loving little boy. This was gonna look somewhat okay, and I think it is because I have other videos I have to film today. I have to go out today. So yeah, I just my kids are such a huge part of my life, and like I said, take my experience with a grain of salt because what happened to me may not be you. You may want the epidural, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't go in not wanting an epidural or anything. I didn't do that. I didn't have a pre-notion. I would have preferred to not do the epidural. However, I also knew that if I couldn't handle it, then I would need an epidural. So either way, I was kind of prepared. A lot of y'all probably know my birth story of Kai. I went into labor about 4 or 5 in the morning, something like that. I think it was 4 because Brandon's boss had called us because I had a doctor's appointment the day before, and they had told me my blood pressure was super duper high, and they thought I had preeclampsia. Preeclampsia, and they were like, oh, well, you might have to give birth to this baby. I know that this foundation shade is going to be way too dark for me. I'm going to lighten it up with the concealer. I just really wanted to test out the formula. I really wanted to. So, yeah, that's too dark. Definitely too dark, but I make it work. I'll make it work. Anyways, so she was like, oh, well, you might have to give birth. And that scared me, and I still don't know how I convinced them to not induce me that day, but I was like, I promise I'll come back. So, Kyla was like 2 weeks away from his due date at this point, and I had to make an appointment to go back because they were super worried about, the preeclampsia, my high blood pressure. So they drew my blood, and I didn't hear anything, but I went about my day. But Brandon worked mornings, like early mornings, like he opened up his the store mornings at this time, and so I was actually friends with one of his managers, and I texted her and I told her like what was going on. I was like, "Is there any chance you can like just let them know he is not coming in tomorrow because we're like 90% sure she's going to induce me tomorrow because my blood pressure is in the 200s and we can't get it to come down." And my friend goes, "Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. Do what you gotta do." I still don't know what happened. I don't know if she didn't tell or if their boss forgot, but she ended up calling, and Brandon ignored her call because like we were planning to have a baby that day. So we were like, we're gonna get all the sleep we can get. I remember that call. It woke me up, and I was like, man, I kind of have to go pee. So I got up and I went pee, and I couldn't go back to sleep because I was so uncomfortable. And like, I remember texting my sister and telling her like, I think I'm in labor, and she was like, don't go to the hospital unless your water breaks. Don't do that. Do not listen to her. Your water cannot break sometimes. Like sometimes it just doesn't break naturally, and you need to go to the hospital. But my dumbass self was like, okay, it's more than likely Braxton Hicks. I have an appointment anyways. I'm just going to make it to my doctor's appointment and we'll go from there. So that's what I intended to do. And I had researched Braxton Hicks contractions to the T. So I knew that if it was Braxton Hicks, I could get it to stop if I got like in a bath. Side note, if you're pregnant and you're having Braxton Hicks, you get into the bathtub, it'll stop them. Anyways, so I take a bath at like 5 in the morning. They don't go away. I called my mother, who was also a morning opening manager at McDonald's. She still is, but at this time she is opening up the store. And I called her crying, and I was like, I think I'm in labor. And my mom goes, I can tell you're in labor just from like your voice. And my mom said she would have gotten up to leave and take me to work or take me to the hospital. She would have left if she had to. But I told her, like, don't worry about it. I remember sitting in this kitchen with my dad coming up behind me and, like, rubbing my shoulders as I'm, like, deeply breathing because I was packing my hospital bag because I had it somewhat ready, but I didn't have it all the way ready because, like, honestly, it's better to be prepared than not prepared. And I do want you guys to remember, when I gave birth to Kai, we were in the midst of COVID, so I actually had to go into the hospital, like, to my appointments by myself. I go to my doctor's appointment, and it seemed like Brandon hit every single bump in the road. I don't think he like did on purpose, but who knows? I know that does sometimes help. My dad did that to my mom when my mom was in labor with my older brother. It's hilarious. I think my dad did that on purpose, though. I just think that like he couldn't avoid the bumps in the road because it was like we were the first appointment. I was the first one there, so it was like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember. But we finally got there, and Brandon had to sit in the car, and I walk up because I have a irrational fear of elevators. So, like the elevator that I could have taken up, I refused to take up, and I walked up the stairs in labor, checked in, and I sat and waited. And like I said, I was the only one there. I get called back, and my nurse, she notices I was like a little uncomfortable, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I was fully prepared to wait for the doctor, but I was actually seeing the nurse midwife in the office. So I sit there. I sit in the doctor's office, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and I called my mom on the phone while I was waiting, and I was like, I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I'm in so much pain. Finally, the nurse, like my mom's talking to me and she's keeping me calm. And finally, the nurse comes in and I say, "Mom, I'll call you back." And I'm like bawling tears at this point. So the nurse is this is the nurse midwife. She's like, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" And I told her like I just straight up told her like I think I'm in labor. And she goes, "Okay, okay, we'll check you and we'll see what's going on." So she checked me and she's like, "Yeah, you're like 8 centimeters dilated. We should get you to labor and delivery now." And I was like, "I need my boyfriend because he's the father." And I remember they were like, "You can't go out there. We have to get you to labor and delivery right now. Tell us what car he is in. We will go out and find him." So I told them, and they did go out and find him. Like, I really appreciate the nurse. She did go out and get him because he met me over in the labor area. And they checked me again. They made sure I was 8 centimeters, all that. I remember they asked me if I wanted an epidural. In my head, I was like, well, I kind of already made it this far without it. Like, what really is the point of getting one now? Because, like, that's how I saw it. But that's kind of like how I saw it. I was kind of like, what is the point? So we sit. It's kind of like very much a blur to me. I'm not gonna lie. I bet if I asked Brandon, he probably would be able to give me more details. But we don't really like talk about stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie. And it was like a blur, like I said. And pretty soon it was time to push. And I remember yelling out, like in labor and delivery, I wanted my mom. And it didn't take much longer after that for Kai to come out. And it was after Kai had came out, and they put him on my chest and everything. They cleaned him up. They took him away, and they told me uh, they had said something along the lines of like your blood did come back with preeclampsia, so we need to start treating that because the cure for preeclampsia is to deliver the baby. So they put me on some medicine. It was a really high dosage. Because I remember telling the nurse I was seeing double, because I was seeing double. So they lowered my dosage and they popped it back up because they said, the lower dosage isn't helping. They were checking my blood like every couple hours. Now, mind you, this is the day I gave birth. Brandon and I were basically like sleeping most of the time in the hospital. Jackson just walked all over everything. And we hadn't really seen Kai because I was so hopped up on medicine, they wouldn't. At about like 5 or 6 in the morning, I think it's more closer to 6 a.m. I had finally gotten off the medicine and I was like a little more coherent and I couldn't believe everything that had happened. And they were like, how do you feel? Because I was really close to some of the nurses at this time. And I told her, I was like, I really want to see my baby. Can I see him? She goes, yeah. But the medicine I was on gave me hot flashes. So I had them freezing us out of the room. So she's like, but I really need to turn the temperature up before I bring him in here. So I was like, yeah. So she brought him in and I got to hold Kai the first time and since he was born, and I was just in awe. I was in awe of him. I couldn't believe that I created that. I could not believe it. It was amazing. It was a great feeling. And I finally was able to get off of the preeclampsia medications. They moved me over to postpartum. And we stayed there for a few days. They kept checking me to make sure my blood pressure wasn't spiking back. Jackson has a spatula. At first thought he had a knife, but nope, he had a spatula. I don't know why my mind just like always goes to the absolute worst scenario possible, but it does. It does. It does. And that sucks. I'm trying out this Jaclyn Cosmetics highlighter. It's in the shade Do Me. I've never used this before, so I'm very excited to give it a try. I don't think I have a lot of shades of these. As a loose highlighter, and I don't think that this is actually meant to be what I'm about to use it for, but I think that this is meant to more be like a ambient like lighting powder, like from Hourglass, which I've been actually wanting to try one of those, so I might put this in my stash and use it as a finishing powder. Pop over everything in my highlight points with my Wet n Wild Crystal High highlighter that I love very, very much. And I've been wearing basically all month. I would go through all of that again, though, for Kai. Like the sickness, the preeclampsia, the pain. Same thing for Jackson. I would do it all over again. They are amazing. I love being a mom. They drive me crazy sometimes. They're everything to me. Also, we got the Disney Channel back on Spectrum. Yay. I didn't like not having his Bluey and his Mickey Mouse, let me tell you that much. I like to like take a trip down memory lane sometimes and like remember where it came from and remember everything that I've been through to have these angels in my life, because like these kids, like I said, yeah, they get on my nerves. Like I get frustrated. Every parent gets frustrated with their kids at one point or another, but I love them. Video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I think that this makeup look is kind of, it's okay. It's okay. Like I said, I have some things I have to do today with my mother, and I think I'm gonna film a couple more videos. I have not fully decided on that yet. I'm definitely gonna keep you guys up to date on the foundation, Rare Beauty foundation and concealer. I actually kind of like the foundation. I'm not gonna lie, even though it's the wrong color, I definitely feel like I can make it work. Like I don't feel like it's that bad with all my other makeup on. But I don't know. Anyways, I like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye, y'all.